Katrina Hill, Anglican Parish of East Christchurch. Welcome.
Kia ora everyone. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you for the opportunity today to talk. I'm used to talking to people, to gathered groups, but usually it's my congregation and they usually agree with me. So today it may be a little bit different, but I'm hoping to try and highlight so some action can be taken. My submission is in regard to the provision of social housing. My first wake-up call and stark reality to a consequence of not having a home was when I came across a woman who was in around 60 who popped into our church for a cup of coffee. I got to know her over a few weeks, and while she waited for her financial situation to change so she could actually afford to have a roof over her head and for a home to be provided for her that was affordable. It was tough seeing her in her predicament, yet our morning coffees were nice. Until one day she said to me she would have to go to the doctors, and pointing down to her feet I could see that they were swollen and they were red. My reply was of course, because in my pastoral, when I do pastoral care, I have seen older people with swollen and red feet, usually linked to a heart complaint. The woman had no heart complaint. Her swollen legs were caused not by any other health reason and no other health complaint except for her sleeping arrangement. Overnight, sitting in her car sleeping, sitting in the car when it was raining all day because she had no home to be in and the community facilities were closed. That night, when I stretched out in my lovely bed under my roof in my home, I realised how naive I was about some people's situations. Today, I am not naive about the situation that presents us in our community. There is a need for affordable, warm housing, particularly 1 and 2 bedroom units, for those on incomes that are low and for people that only have part-time jobs yet still have to maintain full costs of living. So I affirm what is in your long-term plan document, which where providing social housing creates a strong sense of community, where having a home creates active participation in civil life. When social housing is provided, we are a livable city. As a councillor, creating a livable city must be very exciting for you. But your long-term plan, out of $835 million, only is $63 million is spent on social housing, and that is on renewals and replacements. And even though the need is getting greater, the provision is getting less, as renewal and replacements are maintenance. There's no provision of more. In the 2017 to the 2018, 2,366 units, and as the years go on, it actually decreases to 1,972 until 2018. You are just 1,972 until 2018. I thank you for that provision, because I do truly, and I'm sure people who are living in those homes are grateful for that. Yet it's not enough for, let alone now, yet in for the future. As a parish, those who we refer to housing get listened to sympathetically. However, they just end up getting referred on and around in a circle, and it is disheartening for them and for those who are trying to support them. We ourselves as a church provide some affordable homes, and we could have tenanted them again and again over the years I've been working in the community. One of the key demographic challenges identified in your documents was, for the city in the future will be the impact of an ageing population, which may impact both the size and value of new dwellings and residents' ability to pay. An ageing population means a limited income. If the Christchurch City Council recognises this now for the people in the city generally, how much more do you think this will affect the most vulnerable of the city? The need for affordable housing is not going to go in a hurry. So I urge and hope that the City Council provides and builds more units, especially 1 and 2 bedroom flats, in response to caring for those unable to afford high rents. And I urge you to make it a livable city, a city where the priority for its people is first and foremost, that their basic needs are met. And I'd just like to finish with the hope from your consultation document was this. From the Tualamali family, they say, I want to live in a city that looks after its people, where there is no homelessness, where we can care for our young and our elderly, everyone. And that's from a mum and dad and their 4 boys. So thank you.
Thank you. Questions? Phil and Glenn.
Thanks very much for your submission, Katrina, because I think you're right. The whole area of social housing has been put aside at this point. So thank you for your submission. I'm just wondering, one possible way forward we have as a council to increase our social housing supply, and you're right, starting with catching up with what we lost during the earthquakes, would be that council find a way of financially supporting the Aotearoa Housing Trust, which is like at the moment the housing sort of CCO or arm. It's a housing arm really, I guess, of council. So I just wonder, if our council were to find a way to financially support them, do you think that might go some of the way towards increasing the availability, I guess, of social housing?
I think one thing in regards to the social housing is the permanency of homes. And so I think that needs to be a permanent home for somebody is important. Temporary homing is most probably, it's a step to that. So I think if I would advocate that support of temporary homes into permanent affordable social homes is a good thing. Yeah.
And in your submission too, Katrina, you've referred to people who are chronically homeless, have been homeless for a long term. So apart from our long-term plan, we have actually already got a potential council fund which would cater for the whole Housing First program, which recently, probably where government have announced some significant funding for. That funding, though, in Christchurch would cater for about 50 places. So I'm wondering, do you think our council, in fact, should also become like, I guess, a financial partner to government and to the housing providers in our city by way of making a financial contribution?
Plus build more homes?
That's right.
Plus? Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, plus, because I think I work in the east, and most probably per year we would get 20 to 30 people coming to look for homes, permanent homes. We're not even a referral agency. We're nothing like that. All we are is a community-based group, and we get the need clearly to us. And so I think as long as there's an understanding that more homes need to be built, then yeah, I'm all for that. Okay. And the steps that takes around that, I'm happy with that.
Thank you.
Glenn.
Thank you, Katrina. It's a delicate matter in relation to funding increased housing. So up till now, the council's had a policy or a policy setting whereby the tenants themselves over time effectively, you know, their rent helped to build more social housing units. So ratepayers haven't actually done that. Have you got a view on that, with, you know, over changing that policy setting?
So changing the policy how, sorry?
The policy setting going forward, so that it, you know, consideration might be given to actual ratepayer funding.
That ratepayers fund social housing?
Yes. Yep.
Well, I mean, you ask ratepayers to fund a lot of things. I mean, I definitely would say to fund some social housing.
Yanni?
Thank you for your submission, and you've made it really clear that you see that we should spend more on social housing. Have you got any other areas, if we're spending more, that you would think that we should make less of a priority in our plan?
Personally?
Yeah.
Personally, I love going swimming, and I love cycling, and I love all those things, but not at the expense of people's basic needs being met. So I would definitely take slices of pies to put into of what we want and our needs to actually what we actually need and what others would need. So I'd take slices of pies from perhaps recreation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Katrina. It's good to see you, and it's always a compelling story that you have to tell. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.